everybody, today I'm here to do my September book haul. So I cannot believe September is already over. September was an amazing reading month strictly because of so many amazing books that came out. A lot of these books are new releases. A lot of them I purchased myself. A lot of them I got sent with book boxes, and quite a few books that publishers sent to me. So there's like 18 or 19 books, so there's a lot. Let's get right on into it. The first one, obviously, is Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 6th Throne of Glass book. This is the book strictly from Cale's point of view, or it really follows Cale. It also follows several other characters that we're used to and a lot that we're new to. So I have a whole book review up for this one if you want to check it out. I'll leave it right here. I went into this thinking I wasn't going to love it. I came out loving it. I have heard nothing but good things about it, and that's great because a lot of people were very apprehensive about it because of Cale. But I love Cale. I loved Cale going into this book. I loved Cale even more coming out of this book. So this is such an amazing book, and I was also apprehensive for it being the 6th Throne of Glass book. I'm like, really? Do we need, like, does this really need to be called the 6th Throne of Glass? But after the information you learn in this book, yes, that title is well deserved because you learn so many things that are crucial for the last book. So obviously I can't tell you much about this book because it's the 6th book in a series. So if you're familiar with Throne of Glass, definitely check out this book. I think it's a great book, like I said. Definitely watch my review if you want to hear more. The next book I bought is One Dark Throne by Kendare Blake. It's the 2nd book in the Three Dark Crowns series. Again, I have a review up for this one. It'll be right here if you want to check it out. A lot of these books I talk about today I've actually read, so that's like a first. This book was amazing. I love this one much more than the first one, and I really enjoyed the first one, but the first one was very slow. The first half was, and it had a lot to build up. This one, it picks up right where the first one left off, and it hits the ground running. It was so amazing. If you don't know what this series is about, it's about 3 queens pretty much, and they're separated at birth. They each have powers, and then the age of 16, they have to kill one another, and whichever queen is left standing will actually be the queen of all of this place. So it's a really, really awesome book. It's matriarchal, women are in power. So freaking good. Definitely check out my review because I go on a tangent about it because so much stuff happens in this book. The next one I bought is There's Someone Inside of Your House by Stephanie Perkins. If you haven't heard of Stephanie Perkins, she wrote Anna and the French Kiss, Lola and the Boy Next Door, very cute, fluffy YA books. This is her take on a thriller novel. So it's pretty much, think of your teen slasher film, and this is it. It's about these teens that go to high school and there's a killer on the loose. It's kind of like Scream, if you will. So I'm really excited to read it. I plan to read it in October because it is literally the perfect book to read in October because it's like a slasher movie. I haven't heard many good things about it, I will say. The reviews on Goodreads are kind of all over the place. My friends have had mixed reviews, so I'm kind of going into this with low expectations, and we'll just see how it goes. I'm not expecting too much of it. They say it's not scary at all. It's more of like a funny slasher film type of thing, which I probably need because I don't do scary things very well. But either way, I'm excited to see how she writes from a completely different genre. And the last book I bought, that is Friend Request by Laura Marshall. I looked at that and I was like, is this like about Facebook, but like a thriller way? And it kind of is. This is an adult thriller novel. It's about this woman who named Louise, and it, like, I think it has 2 points of like time. So we have go back to 1989 when she is in high school and she meets a new girl and they become friends, and then something really dangerous happens and they quickly split up. Fast forward 2 years later now, she's a single mother, she has her son, and she notices that she gets a friend request from the one person she thought she would never hear from again. So quickly her life is unraveling because this person that she wanted, her friend I think that she made when she was younger, wants to be back in her life, and maybe secrets are arising that could really jeopardize being a mom and having sole custody of her son. So it sounds really interesting. I love thrillers now. I didn't used to love them 2 years ago. Now I love reading them. As long as they're like something I can handle, which this one does sound like it. It's got like, you know, friend request and Facebook. I mean, I don't know. It sounds interesting. I love the kind of technology thriller things, if that makes any sense. So I also plan to read this in October, setting myself up for a very ambitious year already. The next stack of books I'm going to show you are books that I got sent in book boxes. First book I got, and I was so excited for it, is Warcross by Marie Lu. This came in my uppercase unboxing, and I was so excited to get a finished copy of this book because I read it this month. and I loved it so much. One of my favorite books of the whole year. Again, I have a review up for it. I've read a lot of these. This is a perfect book. If you're a game lover, read this. If you're a sci-fi lover, read this. If you just want a fun virtual reality game book, read this. It's such a fun book. It's about a girl named Mika who is a bounty hunter within this game called Warcross, and it's like Warcross is this big capture the flag game. And I'm butchering the synopsis. Check out my review. It's short and sweet, but I love this book. Such a fun book. So I was very excited to get it. It's also signed too, which is freaking amazing. Oh, love this book. The next book came in my Owl Crate box, and that is Before She Ignites by Jodi Meadows. Again, super excited for this one. This is about a kind of princess who is on this island, and she really helps rally peace and things like that. She's also really trying to help save like the dragon population, I believe. And she also deals with anxiety, which is really awesome and refreshing to read, because there are a lot of books now lately about anxiety and mental health, which is amazing, but I don't read too many where fantasy is the genre. Usually it's kind of contemporary where they focus on mental health. This is, I want to say, the first fantasy book I've ever really heard about that really focuses on mental health as one of the main things about it. So that's awesome. I've heard nothing but good things about this book. I mean, dragons. That's all you need to say to me, and I'm quickly enveloped in. So I'm very excited to read this. The next book I got my cozy reader box, and that is The Burning Girl by Masood. This is a women's fiction book, I believe, and it's basically about these two girls that are friends, and they meet at a very young age in this really kind of strict Catholic or maybe Seventh-day Adventist place, and they quickly become friends, and they grow up, and they kind of go in different paths, one on a very dangerous path, but I think it's about their relationship as friends and kind of how you grow up and sometimes grow out of relationships and things like that. I haven't heard too many things about this book, so I really need to look up the reviews, but it's very, very short, like only around 200 pages, which is awesome, so I have to check it out. And the last book box I got is Book of the Month. These are the 3 books I selected for my picks because I am a Book of the Month ambassador, which I'm super excited about. Like, if you're not interested in Book of the Month, check it out because their October selections are already so amazing. Like, they're offering the new Stephen King book. They're offering the new John Green book. They have amazing, there are so many amazing titles coming out that I wish I could tell you guys, but Book of the Month is really a really good deal. I'm not like, this is not like a paid promotion. I just want to share that with you. Book of the Month is offering really good deals. So anyway, the 3 books I picked out for September are Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng, which I have already read. I think I might do a review on it. I'm not quite sure. Let me know if you want one. Celeste Ng also wrote Everything I Never Told You, which I read a few years ago and loved. This is kind of a suburban fiction, I guess you could say. It's about this family that lives in Shaker Heights, Ohio, and there are so many things that go on in this book that I really am not doing a good job giving this synopsis justice, but just know it's pretty much about a family, really about 2 families and how their lives become entangled, and this book makes you think. There are several topics in this book where you'll flip-flop constantly and you're like, is this right, or is this right, or is this right? She writes beautifully. I love the way she writes, so I highly recommend this book. She just writes beautifully. The next book I picked is Lies She Told by Kate Houlihan, which I also plan to read in October. You're getting a sneak peek of my October TBR here a lot. This is such an interesting book. It's an adult thriller book about this woman who is a fiction writer. She's a thriller writer, and she has like a few months to write a book because her last book did so well and now it's kind of fading, so she needs to write another one. And she's also struggling a lot in her home life. Her and her husband are really having a hard time trying to conceive, and that's going on, and you're also thrust into the book she's actually writing. So in her book that she's writing, it focuses on a woman that just had a baby, and her and her husband are really struggling with having a new baby. She's going through kind of postpartum things. She also thinks that her husband is cheating on her, and this whole book is about struggling to learn if you're reading about the author of the story or if you're actually reading about the story itself, if that makes any sense. So just, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it sounds so compelling to me. I think the person, not Kate Houlihan, the author, but the person who's writing the book inside this book is struggling to determine which parts of her story are actually her story or is actually her life, because her story is kind of being molded into her book and vice versa. So it sounds so interesting. It sounds like it's going to be gripping. It sounds like it's going to confuse the mess out of me, which I am ready for. So I'm excited to read this one come October. The last book I picked for my Book of the Month selection is Sourdough by Robyn Sloane. Sorry if you can't see the cover. Robyn Sloane also wrote Mr. Penumbrum's 24-Hour Bookstore, which I have yet to read. I'm horrible, I'm aware. This is all about a woman that works at like a tech startup and she's a coder and something like that. She gets dinner every night from this restaurant that's a hole-in-the-wall restaurant, and they quickly have to move away, but they leave her with the starter of sourdough. A starter, if you didn't know, is like a thing of dough, and you have to really tend to it like a week, and then you make bread and you make more starters from it. It's a very ongoing process, but basically she makes a crap ton of sourdough bread. She starts selling it at farmers market and things like that. She starts to get out of her house and really realize how much she loves baking and things like that. I've heard really good things about this book. I've also heard that Robyn Sloane has a very quirky way of writing. It's very just kind of like whimsical, I would say. So I'm interested to read this one, and I don't know, it just sounds really awesome. And yeah, I mean, it's probably going to make me want to eat all the bread, which is probably not a good thing. And the last stack of books I would like to show you are books that got sent to me by publishers, which I have a fair amount. So thank you so much to all these publishers that sent me their books. It means the world to me that they want to do that, so I definitely do not take that for granted whatsoever. The first book I got sent was sent by Little Brown, and that is Invictus by Ryan Grandin. I literally just finished this book as of filming yesterday. So good. Ryan Grandin also wrote Wolf by Wolf duology, which I loved. Some of my favorite books of last year. So I was going into this book with very high expectations and coming out not disappointed at all. This is all about a time travel book. We have this character named Faraway. Faraway was born outside of time, and in this book, time travel exists. You can do it. You have ships that go back in time just to kind of record the history, and Faraway wants to be in that, but he fails his last time traveling exam, so he decides he gets his own crew and gets the ship called Invictus, and he kind of gets a job to go back in time to steal like artifacts for this person. Like they go back to that Titanic, they go back to Rome, they go back to so many different places. This is such a fun book. I'd say if you love the show Firefly to read this book. I say that, but I have yet to watch Firefly. I know, I always scream how much I love Joss Whedon, and I have yet to watch that show. This is such a fun, awesome time travel book that has amazing characters in it. So good. I will be filming my review video probably today for this, so expect for it to come out in the next week or so, but loved it. The next book Flatiron Press sent to me, and it is such a beautiful cover. It's ridiculous. And that is the Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. I mean, look at the shininess. This one actually does not come out till January, so apologies in advance. But this one sounds so interesting. It's about a girl named Alice, and her mom have always spent like time on the road and things like that, but then they hear that Alice's grandmother has actually died, and her grandmother was a really famous author. She wrote these really like dark and twisty kind of tales. They have to go back to her grandmother's estate called the Hazelwood, and I think basically what this whole book is about is learning that maybe those dark and twisty tales that her grandmother wrote weren't really fiction but actual reality. So I think her mother gets kidnapped and she has to go into her grandmother's stories to go like fetch her out. I want to say that's what it's about. By the synopsis, it does sound like it. I'm definitely going to read this in January. Like, this book sounds amazing. And I mean, if the cover is anything matching what's inside, I'm gonna love it. The next two books Harper Collins sent to me, and I don't know anything about these books. The first one's definitely a Christmas one, I will say, and it's called The 12 Dares of Krysta by Marisa Burt. I want to say this is either a middle grade or a very kind of young adult fiction book. It's about a girl, I think, that loves Christmas. Basically, I think her parents divorce and her dad sends her on these 12 like dares, and it also takes place during Christmas, I believe. I don't know, it sounds really cute. I'm thinking about reading it in December because I love reading holiday books in December, obviously. The other book they sent to me also has a beautiful cover, and that is Everything Must Go by Jenni Fran Davis. Look at this cover. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know what this book is about at all. I think it's about like a girl that's like maybe has a blog, I think, and she is wanting to be like a fashionista or a photographer or things like that. Okay, this book is filled with letters, journal entries, and other sundry items from her first year at a boarding school, I want to believe. So it sounds interesting. I need to look up more about it because the cover and the spine are so beautiful, like so stunning. The next book Tortine sent to me, and that is When I Cast Your Shadow by Sarah Porter. This book sounds really, really dark. It's about a boy, I think, that has honestly committed suicide, and he haunts his siblings at night, and I think he even haunts them to also commit suicide, which sounds so horrible and creepy and things like that. We follow, like, I think we follow his siblings, Ruby, who's haunted by him. It's a unique and haunting exploration of family, lost, and longing by the acclaimed author of Vasa in the Night. So this one I'm mixed about because I've heard very mixed things about Vasa in the Night, but this one just sounds like straight up creepy. So we'll see. If I have time to read in October, I just might because it sounds like such a bizarre book, honestly. And the next two books Entangled Teen sent to me, and the first one is 27 Hours by Christina White. Again, I'm not sure about this one either. I don't know, like, even the synopsis is very vague. It says during one 27-hour night, if they can't stop the war between the colonies and the monsters from becoming a war of extinction, the things they wish for will never come true, and the things they fear will be all that's left. I don't know. I've also heard this has great diversity in it. We have an asexual main character. We also have some LGBTQ characters, which is great. So I need to look up more about this. And the other book they sent to me is Black Bird of the Gallows by Meg Castle. This cover, so freaking stunning. Again, I don't know what this one is about either. It says her love broke his curse, but his love spells her death. Ooh, interesting. I think it's about people that fall in love and maybe like their love is like deathly. I think. I don't know. Again, I haven't heard too many things about this one either. Anyway, those are all of the books that I acquired in September. Quite a lot. October, November are also going to be big release months, so money, what is that? I don't know what it is. If you have read or heard of any of these books, please let me know down in the comments which one was your favorite, which one was not, and things like that. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.